house right now. I didn't want to push too far up the hill, but I'll get into that a bit later. I was debating going up to the public land today, just to try and keep pressure off my ground. But we got the perfect wind for it. You know, I'm a sucker for a good wind. At least the forecast said it was going to be perfect. Right now we have just about nothing going on, and the thermals are pulling uphill, which is the exact opposite of ideal. Anyway, what I'm after this year is the buck we call short round. Like I said, I had him at 30 yards last year. He was 2.5-year-old, I'm estimating. He caught me putting my rangefinder back in my pocket. He didn't blow out, but he moved off. That was the last I saw him for that season. We got him on camera again this year. He's a beautiful 3.5-year-old-ish. I'm estimating. I think I'm right. Pretty confident, but it is an estimation. Set up over the little area of my ground I call the nettle field. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it's kind of an open patch in the timber, and in the spring and summer it is full of stinging nettle. Up until about 2 weeks ago, I mean, you could see it looked like you came through with a lawnmower about waist high. They had it completely browsed off. It's not looking so hot currently, but according to the cameras, there's still deer moving through. I didn't want to push too far up the hill so that I could save my stands for the rut, but I did want to get up high enough that I can hunt the travel corridor between my two neighbors' properties. I only have 14 acres, so the travel corridor is really all I have to hunt since the nettle field dried up. I'm also testing out alternative stands, locations for alternative stands. This is an observation set primarily. Staying down low, kind of out of the way, so I can see where the deer want to move through. So I can hang a set of ladder sticks. Then I can have a permanent saddle stand up here. The deer are moving through according to the cameras, but not really enough to get a solid pattern on. There's a good chance we don't see anything today, but we got the right wind, so I'm pretty confident we'll at least see something move by dark. I'm gonna shut up, finish pulling my rope up, and settle in for the morning. See what starts walking. Well, that's about gonna do it for opening day 24. Short round missed his appointment. Well, at the very least, it was a beautiful day to sit in the tree. Alright, what's going on, everybody? We have made it to the game lands. It is Tuesday, October 8th.
It's 20 after 5. I just got off work, got home, got showered, and figured I'd head up to the game lands tonight. Got maybe a little over an hour and a half light, and I'm gonna see what I can kick up today. It's gonna be mostly a scouting mission, but I'm also gonna be putting an aggressive move on where there has been historically a pretty nice buck bedded. 3 years ago, I laid eyes on him a couple times in a season, and I've been seeing the same trees shredded ever since. So I'm assuming, as long as he made it through last year, he's still going to be there. He's still going to be in the same area, and he's going to be somewhere around 5.5 years old. Now again, haven't laid eyes on him for at least 3 years, so I don't know what he looks like. He's going to have to be bigger than short round for me to take a shot at him. But I'm going into his bedroom tonight, and if I blow him out, then this will turn into a mushroom hunt. But if I don't, then well, this might just be a whitetail hunt. Like I said, got about an hour and a half of light. Getting in kind of late, but we'll see what we can do. The stuff I'm heading into is really thick, and this is probably gonna suck. But luckily it's not too far from the parking lot, so we shouldn't have much trouble getting in there before dark. Well, that said, I'm pulling in up here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before I head off into the woods, because then I got to be quiet. Covered the date, time, what I'm going to be hunting. Oh, left the saddle at home today, so I'm going to try and get it done off the ground on public land. Let's get into it. I'm excited. Alright, well, we made it about 15 yards into this thickness. My own little buck nest. I've already found a rub. Right next to the historical sign. So that tells me at least one of the same deer that have been in here in the past is still here. I don't know if that's the buck, but it is a buck, and he's sticking around. Most of the thickness is up over this little ridge, so I think I'm going to keep pushing in a little bit. As long as the wind doesn't swirl, push my scent up over that ridge. We should be all right. So I'm gonna keep the noise down and keep moving. There's a reason I left the saddle at home. I don't think you can get a shot through here with a rifle, let alone a bow. None of the trees are big enough to climb. So I'm gonna push in a little bit, get set up, and we'll see what we can get into. All right, this is a little more what I'm talking about. Shavings are still on top of the leaves. And there's another one about 5 yards down the hill. Again, not super fresh, but it's from this year. Most likely when they were rubbing the velvet off their antlers. The wind switched completely on me. It's now blowing into my face, back towards the way I came. So I'm not entirely sure how to play it.
And if you hunt Pennsylvania, you're familiar with how the winds like to swirl up here. Let's break down this rub a little bit. I mean, this tree, not the biggest around. You can see up here, there's tine rub marks up at this level, and the main rub stops. I don't know, 8-10 inches below it. So there's a decent buck in here. I just gotta find out where and when. The wind switched back and it's now blowing down to my right. Swirling winds. Deer can come from anywhere. This looks like a fairly open pathway. I don't really want to follow it and lay ground scent the whole way along the trail, but I can't just stand here in the open like an idiot. It's so thick. The thermals are about to start pulling my scent downhill, so I gotta make a decision. I'm gonna head back down over the hill and try to push a little bit further. Maybe try to hunt this pathway. I know they're most likely not going to come from behind me, because that's where the main road is. And then again, if they follow the gas line up, I don't know. I'm gonna creep around in here for a little bit, try to find a thick spot to set up. We'll go from there. All right, so essentially, here's what I've come up with. I've found the single conifer in this section of woods. There's very little to no leaves to rustle my feet in. I have this broken branch behind me. Hang on. Okay. I'm choosing to believe it was a squirrel. But essentially, the rundown for my setup is conifer tree. Not a lot of leaves to make noise in. I have old broken limb to break up my outline. The big tree trunk in front of me to push myself up against to try and blend in. And I'm able to watch this entire bench. It's probably 40 yards over to that hill, that little ridge. And it flattens off, makes this bench. And then below me it drops off, flattens off to another bench. And I think there's one more bench before it drops down into the bottom. This is gonna have to go away. So I'm able to watch anything moving in, getting down below that ridge as the thermals pull scent downwards. The trade-off being I'm blowing my scent down to anything on this lower bench. If there's a possibility I can get a shot here, I don't love my chances of getting it through this brush. But at least I'll be able to see it. It's gonna depend on the moment. If I can determine I can get an arrow through there, I'm gonna get a shot at it. If not, so be it. First, we have to see a deer before we worry about shots. So, I'm gonna settle in and try to find somewhere comfy. And, see what moves in. The wind's currently hitting me in the face. I expect that to continue. But if anything's side hilling up a little higher here towards the top, I should have the advantage on it. If it comes from the left, it's gonna have my ground scent. If it comes from the right, there's a chance it'll never know I was here. I'll just have to stay hidden, stay quiet, see what happens. Alright, what's going on, everybody? Back again. It's Saturday, October, whatever that would be. It is Saturday, October 12th. Right at 10 till 4 in the afternoon. Just getting towards the end now of a half-mile pack in. So, I don't know how much of that is going to make it into this week's episode. But I was able to get out a couple nights ago, forgot my cameras at home, and wound up, as I lowered my bow, had a doe at 30 yards. Didn't take a shot. It was after legal light, and I didn't have any cameras, and she had 2 fawns with her, etc., etc. But at the very least, I have one doe pinned down. I know where she's at. And I know where she comes from. So if I really wanted to, I could get ahead of her, fill a tag. But today I decided to do a little bit more scouting on a different area of game lands. In the past, I've hunted up here, and there's a small goldenrod field. And every year, it is absolutely surrounded by very heavy rubs and a ton of scrapes. So, right now we actually have a terrible wind for it. But I'm going to try to get back in there and try to set up over that goldenrod field. So, stay tuned. Hoping to at least punch a doe tag. I need an old doe by herself. I'm going to be way too picky about this because it's just how I am. Anyway, I'm going to dive into the woods here. Time to get quiet. Go get set up. Right up to the edge of the goldenrod field. You see it up there, a gap in the trees. And might be better off setting up over this than the goldenrod field. This looks like a pretty heavy run trail. But I'd also be able to see more of the goldenrod field. I think I might just get up on one of these old cherry trees over here. A bunch of old apple trees I'm under right now, but nothing on them. Alright, I'm gonna look around a little bit more, see what's going on. See if I can find a tree to climb. Alright, well, I'm set up. I'm actually set up in a double beach, about where it splits off into a triple. And got everything situated. I'm in a kind of a unique situation here. I haven't found myself here before. So, I've got all my gear on the left half of this double beach. But what that does is pretty much block everything I have as a shot off in this direction, aside from directly below me or back behind me. So instead of leaning out to the left to be able to take a shot, I'm going to have to come around to the right side and I can get a shot at that scrape. It'll be interesting, definitely a little sketchy, but I'm pretty excited. My best shot opportunities by far are behind me to the left, behind me to the right, and straight ahead of me. You can see the goldenrod field where it all opens up. Any access paths along this way, along the edge of the drop off. There's a main trail running right down through here, straight over to that scrape. And also there's a old logging road that comes out of that goldenrod field right down in front of us to the scrape. So we're at a bit of an intersection here. There's old apple trees. I haven't heard any acorns dropping yet, but there's oaks around. So there should be some feed in here. Hopefully as it cools off, the deer start moving around a little bit. Might wind up with a shot at something. Stay tuned. And if the opportunity arises, I'm going to try and shoot over my shoulder. That is a beautiful angle. Alright, I'm saving battery. Those angles put some hair on your chest. Gloves that on. It only feels sketchy. Probably looks sketchy too. Well, we're in the last half hour of legal light. No deer movement yet, but this place is overrun with chipmunks. Hang out here for at least another 20 minutes. I got a heck of a hike out of here in the dark, and I don't have a light. We'll see if anything moves by. Alright folks, well I was on my way out. I was on the main path, which is a bit of an elevated position. You can see down over the edge into the creek bottom. And heard something walking, looked over the edge, and sure enough, there was a deer
It's too dark to tell what it was, but that's 3 for 3 on whitetail encounters on public land. So it's only a matter of time before one slips up and I see him in the daylight. But that's probably going to do it for this week's episode. That'll be the opening 7 days of Pennsylvania archery season. Stay tuned. I'm going to be getting out after work and again next weekend. Hopefully at some point this week I can get the video edited and published. Still find time to get out and chase deer. But anyway, that's going to do it. Stay tuned. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.